Hello, today I want to show you how to switch scenes so that you can build many levels and just pass through them. I've got a very simple scene where we've got our player, and I've just imported this teleport so that it will indicate we need to get there to move to the next stage. I created three very similar scenes, level 1, 2 and 3. So now, in order to have them all in our project, we need to add them to the build settings. So go to the file, build settings, and here you can see that we've got a place called scenes in build. And at the moment I've got here only level 1. So we need to drag and drop all the levels that we want to be included in our game. Okay, this is done, so we can close it. This is a very important step. Keep that in mind, that always all your scenes need to be there. And now I want our teleport to work as a scene switcher. So whenever we get there, there is a trigger on it. Whenever we enter the trigger, we want to be moved to the next scene. If there is one, if we are in the last scene, we want to be moved back to the scene number 1. And keep that in mind if we go again to build settings, that each scene has its own index number. And in programming, we start counting from 0. So the first level has index 0, then 1 and 2. This is quite important. So in my teleport object, I've got teleport script. And here we've got on trigger enter event. And whenever we enter this teleport, we want to switch scene. So let's prepare that. We need to know how many scenes in total we have. And we need to know in which scene we are at the moment. So let's create such a variables first. They will all depend on the index count and index number, which we just saw. So it will be of type integer. So let's call it active scene index. And the second one will be like total scenes count. So now in the awake method, we need to check in which scene we are and how many scenes there are in total. So let's use active scene index equals, and now we need to use a special namespace in Unity which is called scene management. It will help us to manage our scenes. So let's go here on the top, duplicate this line of code, put dot and type scene management. Now we need to get the active scene. So we will call it a scene manager dot, and let's use a special method get active scene. But as you can see, we've got a red squiggly line. This is because this method will return the object of type scene, but we actually need to assign it to the variable of type integer. We want to get this build index number, not the whole scene. So after that, we put the dot and choose build index, and that's it. Now we need to get the total scenes count. So let's type that one and equals, and again we will use scene manager. And now we need to get all scenes that we've just put in the build settings. So let's type scene count in build settings. Ta-da! That's it. Easy. Okay, so now inside the trigger enter to the event, we need to check in which scene we are, and if we have some more scenes, then we want to switch to the next scene. Otherwise, we want to switch to the scene number 0. Of course, we need to use if statement, and now we will check if active scene index is less than total scenes count, then we want to switch to the next scene. So let's use scene manager and let's load scene. And here we need to load next scene. So the scene with the index number bigger than the active scene index. So we need to use incrementation, but we will use pre-incrementation. So we'll put two plus operators first and then use active scene index. Because if we would do this otherwise, if we put two pluses at the end, it might not work as we would like it to. So whenever you use this increment operator inside of other methods, just try to do this in this way. Okie dokie, so now we need to extend our if statement and add else as well, because if we will be in the last active scene, then we want to start over again. In that case, we need to load different scene. So let's use scene manager again and load scene, and let's put 0 in here because we need to start from the beginning. At the moment, this is looking pretty good, but there is something else I need to tell you. Counting in programming, as you already know, starts from 0, and there is one problem with that. Here, let's imagine we've got 3 scenes as we have it at the moment. So whenever we will be in the last scene, that will have index 2 because we start from 0. And the total scene counts will show us 3 because we've got 3 scenes. And that's correct. So when we look at this statement, so 2 is less than 3, that would be true. And in this case, the program will try to load another scene, which is ridiculous because we are already in the last scene, as you can see in here. So our condition in here is not correct. So in that case, we need to deduct 1 from the total scenes count. So now it will become 2 is less than 2, and it will evaluate to the false, which is correct because we are in the last scene. So we don't want to execute this line of code, but we want to go to the else statement and start our game again from the beginning. I know it might be a little bit confusing to start with, but later on you will get more comfortable with that. So let's get back to our game and see if that works. Press play. We are in the level 1. Let's go further. Now we are in the level 2. Great. Let's go further. We are in the level 3. And now we should be back into level 1. Great. It works just as we wanted. So that would be the very basic scene switcher that will allow you to build many levels, and you can see how easy it is to switch to the next scene. And this is very scalable. If you add more levels, it will work straight away. You don't have to change anything. And that's beautiful about coding. We need to write our code this way that if there will be some changes later, if we add some object or take something away, our code should still work properly. And this is how you do it.